Hotel denied service to a fat guest. Minutes later, he fired the manager. The revolving door of the Grand Meridian Hotel could barely complete the rotation. Marcus Chen, 1 meter 160 pounds, stopped in the middle of the Italian marble lobby while three receptionists turned his face. One of them whispered something to the colleague. The two laughed. It was September. Chicago was sweating under unbearable heat. Marcus had just landed from a 14 flight from Singapore. His back throbbed. His swollen feet barely fit in social shoes. He just wanted a shower, a bed, and 12 hours of sleep. Instead, he received disgusting eyes. He approached the check-in counter with his black trustee. The golden crack of the receptionist shone in the light of the chandeliers. Rebecca, supervisor of service. "Good night," Marcus said, placing his passport on the marble. "Reserve on behalf of Marcus Chen. Executive room, 7 nights." Rebecca didn't even look at the passport. She looked at Marcus, then to the computer screen, after back to Marcus. "Lord," she paused as if she chose each word carefully. "Unfortunately, our security policy requires guests with special needs make specific early reservations." Marcus blinked. "Special needs?" "Yes, our executive rooms have European design furniture, handmade beds, French vintage chairs." Rebecca smiled. It was the kind of smile that didn't reach my eyes. "We cannot guarantee that they are suitable for all body types." The lobby was full. Suit executives, tourists with cameras hanging around the neck. Everyone started to look. Marcus felt the heat go up the neck. "I'm asking for a room, not a furniture resistance test." Rebecca sighed as if she was dealing with a stubborn child. "Sir, understand, we have already had incidents in the past. Broken beds, damaged chairs. The hotel cannot bear these costs." She lowered her voice, but not enough. "And frankly, other guests pay dearly for a premium experience. They don't expect visual discomfort." Silence. Someone coughed. A child pointed out. The mother pulled her hand down but kept looking. Marcus Chen was 42 years old. Born in a family of Chinese immigrants in San Francisco, he grew up packing food in restaurants until midnight, studying for weak neon light, listening to jokes about his weight since he was 8 years old. He knew what it was like to be invisible, but that was different. That was being transformed into a show. "Can I talk to the manager?" Marcus asked, his voice firm. Rebecca rolled her eyes. "Mr. Vanderbilt is busy, so I'll wait." 10 minutes later, a tall man with Armani gray and perfectly hairstyled gray hair came from a side aisle. Gregory Vanderbilt, general manager, 50 years old, square jaw, smile of those who have never heard the word no. He evaluated Marcus from head to toe. "What's the problem?" "Your team is refusing to give me a room." Vanderbilt crossed his arms. "Rebecca has already explained. We have standards. This is a 5-star hotel. We can't compromise the experience of our premium guests. I'm a premium guest. I paid $400 for the night, and we have the right to refuse service when we think it is necessary." Vanderbilt took a step ahead, his voice lowered, but gained a threat tone. "Look, friend, there are other hotels in Chicago, places more suitable for you. Maybe a Motel 6, maybe an Airbnb with structural reinforcement." Muffles echoed through the lobby. Marcus did not move. He just took a deep breath. He took his cell phone out of his pocket, opened the email app. It rolled until you find a specific message. Then he raised his eyes. "Mr. Vanderbilt," Marcus said calmly, "do you know who is the owner of this hotel?" Vanderbilt frowned. "Of course, Everstone Hospitality Group." "And who is the Everstone CEO?" The manager hesitated. Marcus smiled. It was a small smile, controlled, dangerous. "Allow me to refresh your memory." He turned the phone screen. Vanderbilt's face paled. Rebecca choked. On the screen, a photo. Marcus Chen from a suction brioni squeezing the hand of the mayor of Chicago in an inauguration ceremony. The caption said, "Marcus Chen, CEO of Everstone Hospitality Group, announces portfolio expansion with 47 luxury hotels in 12 countries." The lobby was absolutely silent. Vanderbilt opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Marcus kept the cell phone. "Now," he said, his voice cutting the air like a sharp blade, "let's try again. I would like my room." Or prefers me to call the board and explain why the Grand Meridian general manager has just violated 4 federal anti-discrimination laws in less than 5 minutes. The manager tried to speak, stutter, back down, but Marcus was already taking his ma there. "Ah," he added, looking straight at Vanderbilt, "and cancel your schedule tomorrow. You'll need free time to look for a job." If you are enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. What comes next will leave you speechless. Vanderbilt did not move for 3 whole seconds. His brain tried to process the impossible. The fat man in front of him, the one he had just suggested looking for a cheap motel, was the owner of everything, of the walls, of the chandeliers, from the Persian rug under his Italian leather feet, of your salary. "Mr. Chen, I didn't know." Obviously. Marcus took the suitcase. My room? Rebecca typed on the computer with trembling fingers. His red nails hit the keyboard like uncontrolled hammers. Presidential suite, 18th floor. Immediately prepared, sir. Excellent. Marcus turned to leave, but stopped. Rebecca? She froze. Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, I want you and Mr. Vanderbilt in the executive meeting room. Bring your employment contracts. He entered the elevator. The doors closed. The lobby exploded in whispers. Vanderbilt was still, sweating under the suit of $3,000. He pulled his cell phone, called someone, hung up, called again. Each attempt ended in a mailbox. Rebecca stared at him. What are we going to do? Calling his mouth. Vanderbilt is heated. And pray. On the 18th floor, Marcus Chen took off his shoes, dropped in bed king size, and closed his eyes. He didn't sleep. Memories came as they always came. Relentless. Unwanted. He was 9 years old when the physical education teacher made him run around the court alone while the class watched. For your own good, Marcus. You need to lose weight. The laughs echoed for weeks. He had 17 when the girl he liked agreed to go out with him by bet. $50 if she endured the entire dinner. She didn't even wait for the dessert. It was 23 when it was rejected in 12 job interviews. Always the same excuse. Don't fit the company's culture. Code 4. Too fat to represent our brand. Marcus learned 3 things early. The world was cruel, unfair, and had a short memory, so he decided he would never forget. Built an empire with his hands. He invested every penny he earned. He worked 18 hours a day for 15 years. He ate instant noodles while others had dinner in expensive restaurants. And when she finally managed to buy her first business, a decaying hotel in Seattle, swore one thing: no one would be tried by appearance under her roof. Apparently someone did not receive the memo. The next morning, Vanderbilt arrived at 8:40. He wore another flawless suit, perfectly tidy hair, but there was something different. His hands trembled. His eyes were swollen. Rebecca arrived 5 minutes later, loaded makeup, trying to hide a sleepless night. They waited in the glass meeting room. Transparent walls sought the entire lobby. Any employee could see, and everyone was looking. Marcus entered the 9 at point. Black social pants, white shirt, no tie. He carried a brown leather paste and a glass of coffee. He sat at the head of the table. Good morning. No one answered. Marcus opened the folder, took 2 documents, slid one to each side of the table. Employment contract. Clause Simity. Paragraph 3. Any employee who violates the Everstone Hospitality Anti-Discrimination Policy will be immediately turned off without notice. Did you read this when you signed? Vanderbilt cleaned his throat. Mr. Chen, I apologize sincerely. It was a judgment error. Stress. Pressure. Did you know I was fat last night? Silence. Reply. Yes. And yet you decided to treat me like garbage. It was a mistake. It wasn't. Marcus leaned forward. It was a choice. You looked at me and decided that I didn't deserve respect because I didn't fall into your European aesthetic standards. Rebecca tried to speak. Mr. Chen, I was just following a protocol. What protocol? Marcus turned the laptop screen for her. Show where, in any official Everstone document, there is a protocol that allows you to refuse guests by weight. She opened her mouth, closed. It doesn't exist, Marcus continued, because I wrote these policies personally. Every word, every comma, and there is a reason for that. He got up. He walked to the glass window. Down. The lobby boiled. Tourists, executives, families. When I was 26, Marcus said, I was kicked out of a restaurant in New York. The manager said my presence disturbing other customers. They offered me food for travel. He turned his back to the window. I left that restaurant and swore that would build something different, where each person, no matter shape, size, color, or bank account, would be treated with dignity. Marcus hit the table with his fingertips. 47 hotels later, I find out that my own employees are spitting on the face of this promise. Vanderbilt was pale. Please, I have family, 2 daughters in college, mortgage, and I have millions of guests who trust me. Marcus closed the folder. What do you think they will think when they know that Grand Meridian refuses fat people at the door? Rebecca started to cry. I need this job. My son has asthma. The medicines cost, so maybe you should have thought of it before laughing at my body with your colleague. The crying stopped. Rebecca froze. Marcus smiled. It was a cold smile. Oh yes, the security cameras have audio. He threw a tablet on the table. The screen showed the previous night footage. Rebecca whispering. The colleague laughing. The words were inaudible, but the context was obvious. Vanderbilt buried his face in his hands. You have 2 options, Marcus said. They now renounce with 3 months of salary, or I go around this public and you never work in the hotel. He walked to the door. He stopped his hand on the doorknob. One more thing. They both raised their eyes. Starting today, every Everstone employee will undergo mandatory diversity and inclusion training. and you two will give the first session. They will explain exactly what they did wrong and why they were fired. Marcus opened the door. Consider this your final contribution to the company. He left. Rebecca collapsed in the chair. Vanderbilt punched the table. But what neither knew, what no one still knew, was that Marcus was not over, because outside in the hall, he took his cell phone and made a call. Hello? Legal department? I need you to investigate something. I want complete history of Grand Meridian Human Resources in the last 5 years. All dismissals, all complaints. I want to know if this behavior is standard. A pause. And if it's, I want names. Marcus Chen did not leave the hotel for the next 3 days. But it was not resting. At 7 in the morning, he was already in the impromptu office of the presidential suite. Open laptop, 3 connected monitors, telephone glued to the ear. I want all HR records of the last 5 years. Filed complaints, current processes, confidential agreements. He took a sip of cold coffee, especially those involving discrimination. On the other side of the line, Patricia Reeves, Everstone's legal director, hesitated. Marcus, are you sure? Turn this can open. Open. 48 hours later, Patricia sent an encrypted file. Marcus opened. Your stomach rolled. 17 formal complaints in the last 4 years, all archived, all silenced with confidentiality agreements. A Mexican maid fired after complaining that Vanderbilt called her lazy fat and tacos eater. A black chef removed from the main kitchen because, according to Vanderbilt, customers prefer more presentable faces in the gourmet area. A receptionist with physical disabilities transferred to the dawn shift because wheelchair does not match the aesthetics of the lobby. Marcus read every word, every detail, each documented and buried humiliation under piles of money and legal threats. Vanderbilt was not just prejudiced, he was systematic. Marcus closed the laptop. It took a deep breath. He took the phone. Patricia, cancels all confidentiality agreements. Now, Marcus, this will cost millions in, I don't care. These people deserve voice. Meanwhile, underground of the Grand Meridian, a woman in her early 40s pushed a cleaning cart through narrow runners. His name was Thin Rose. She had worked there 6 years ago. Wake up at 4 in the morning. I took 2 buses. He cleaned 30 rooms per shift. He was coming home at 7 at night, preparing dinner for 3 children and collapsed in bed with his back hurting. Rosa didn't talk much. He kept his head down. I did your work. But she remembered. He remembered the day Vanderbilt called her at his office and said she was overweight for the company's image. It offered 2 options. Jim paid for the hotel or voluntary dismissal. Rosa chose the gym. He spent 6 months working out after work, losing sleep, jumping meals, lost 12 pounds. Vanderbilt never mentioned the subject again. He never apologized. He just smiled and said, see, it wasn't that difficult. Rose swallowed the humiliation. I needed the job. I needed the money, but never forgot. So when she saw Marcus Chen on the lobby that night, when she saw Vanderbilt humiliate that fat man in front of everyone, something inside her broke. She went to Marcus on the 3rd day, knocked on the door of S. Presidential UTIT. I held a brown envelope. Marcus opened the door. Can I help? Rosa extended the envelope with trembling hands. I recorded. His voice was low, with loaded accent. Vanderbilt, he doesn't know. I recorded everything. Marcus took the envelope. Opened. Inside was a pen drive. What's up here? 3 years of conversations. Rosa looked at her own feet. He has always been cruel, with all of us. The maids, the security guards, anyone who he thought inferior. Marcus connected the pen drive to the laptop. Audios. Dozens of them. Vanderbilt laughing at a fat employee. It looks like a balloon about to burst. Vanderbilt refusing promotion to a black receptionist. Elite customers prefer European faces. Vanderbilt mocking an accent waitress. Speak right, or go back to your country. Marcus heard everything. Each word, every cruel laugh, each humiliation recorded secret by an invisible woman that no one took seriously. When he ended, he raised his eyes. Why did you keep this? Rosa finally stared at him. Because I knew one day, someone like the Lord would appear. So the next morning, Marcus summoned an emergency meeting. Not with Vanderbilt, with all the hotel employees. 143 people squeezed at the 2nd floor event hall. Maids, cooks, receptionists, security guards, valets. Marcus was on stage, alone, no microphone, no PowerPoint, only he and his voice. My name is Marcus Chen. I own this hotel, and I came here to apologize. Silence. Over the past 5 years, this place has become a silent battlefield. People have been humiliated, discriminated, silenced, and I wasn't paying attention. He paused. But now Marcus waved. Patricia Reeves took the stage with a pile of documents. All confidentiality agreements have been canceled. Anyone who has been forced to sign is free to speak. Anyone who was unfairly fired can return, with full compensation and promotion. Murmurs exploded through the room. And there is more. Marcus took a deep breath. Gregory Vanderbilt no longer works here. He was fired, and he won't work at any Everstone hotel. Never again. Shy applause started, then stronger, then deafening. Rosa Delgado was at the bottom of the room. Tears ran down the face. Marcus got off the stage and walked to her. You saved a lot of people today, Rosa. She just shook her head, unable to speak. Marcus smiled. And from Monday, you will be the new Grand Meridian Operations Supervisor. Rosa blinked. I have no diploma. I barely finished high school. You have the courage, and that is worth more than any diploma. But Marcus Chen didn't end. Because outside, in a law room in downtown Chicago, Gregory Vanderbilt was sitting in front of 3 expensive lawyers, trying to sue Everstone for unfair resignation. He did not know that Marcus had already sent Rosa's audios to the Ethics Council of the National Hospitality Association. He did not know that journalists were already investigating his story, and he definitely didn't know that Marcus Chen was about to do something no CEO ever done. Something that was going to be headline in every newspapers in the country, and that was going to change the hospitality industry forever. The following Monday, Marcus Chen woke up at 5 in the morning. He put on a navy suit, gray tie, impeccable shoes. At 7:30, he was sitting in a makeshift studio on the 8th floor of the Grand Meridian. 3 cameras, professional lighting, a cameraman that Patricia Reeves hired in a hurry. Ready? The cameraman asked. Marcus straightened the tie. Ready. The red light lit. Marcus looked straight at the camera. My name is Marcus Chen. I'm CEO of Everstone Hospitality Group. 3 days ago, I was humiliated in the lobby of my own hotel because I'm fat. He paused. And I won't be quiet. The video aired at 9 in the morning, not on any channel, on all official Everstone platforms, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Marcus told everything, the refusal at check-in, the jokes, the suggestion that he would look for a Motel 6, Vanderbilt's contempt. But it didn't stop there. He showed the documents, the 17 complaints filed, the canceled confidentiality agreements, the pink audios. Gregory Vanderbilt was not just cruel to me, Marcus said, the voice firm. He created a culture of systematic humiliation against any employee who would not fit his aesthetic standard. The camera cut to stretches of the audios, Vanderbilt's voice mocking, laughing, destroying. He was fired, but that's not enough. Marcus leaned forward. From today, Everstone Hospitality will create the Dignity Fund, $10 million designed to indemnify victims of hotel discrimination. Not only in mine, anywhere. Anyone who has been humiliated by appearance, race, disability, or origin can apply. We will help. The screen was black. Then he returned with one last sentence in white letters. Hospitality begins with humanity. The video exploded. In 2 hours, 500,000 views. In 6 hours, 3 million. At 3 in the afternoon, I was in all national news. CNN. CEO exposes a luxury hotel network discrimination. NBC. Marcus Chen transforms personal humiliation into national motion. Washington Post. Everstone Hospitality launches $10 million background for prejudice victims. Celebrities shared. Influencers reacted. Ordinary people cried watching. And then the calls began. Hundreds of them. Employees of other hotels. Victims of discrimination. People who never had the courage to speak. Patricia Reeves could barely meet. Marcus, we are being flooded. We need more people in the legal, more people in HR. This has become a tsunami, Marcus added. I know. Meanwhile, in a luxurious apartment in downtown Chicago, Gregory Vanderbilt watched the video for the 10th time. His hands trembled. The glass of whiskey beside it was empty. Your phone kept ringing. Journalists, lawyers, no one asking if it was true. He tried to call influential friends in the industry. No one answered. He tried to enter networking groups on LinkedIn, had been removed, opened the email, dozens of messages, all with the same tone. Your conduct is unacceptable. We will not do business with you. Vanderbilt punched the table. That fat man destroyed me. He took the phone, down the lawyer number. I want to sue. Defamation, invasion of privacy, anything. On the other hand, the lawyer sighed. Mr. Vanderbilt, all he said is true. The audios are real. The documents are real. You have no case. So what do I do? Silence. Disappear for a while, and pray for people to forget. The connection fell. Vanderbilt was alone in the silent apartment. The man who sent in 143 employees one day now could not even get a job interview. 2 days later, Marcus Chen summoned a press conference at the Grand Meridian. The event hall was crowded. Journalists from 30 countries, cameras of all large networks, incessant flashes. Marcus took the stage. Beside him, Delgado rose, now wearing an elegant suit, stuck hair, erect posture. I want to introduce the new Grand Meridian Operations Director, Marcus announced. Rosa Delgado, the woman who had the courage to record years of abuse because she knew that one day the truth would matter. Applause exploded. Rosa approached the microphone. His hands trembled, but his voice was firm. I cleaned the bathrooms at this hotel for 6 years. I was called fat, lazy, a useless immigrant. She took a deep breath, but I never gave up, because I knew my children were watching, and I wanted them to see that dignity is priceless. More applause. Some people cried. Marcus returned to the microphone. You ask why I did it, why expose my own company, why risk millions in processes and bad publicity. He looked straight at the cameras. Because I've been that fat boy who was expelled from restaurants. He heard jokes at school. That was rejected in jobs because my body didn't match the brand. His voice became more intense. And I promised that when I had power, I would use to protect people like me, people like Rosa, invisible people the world insists on humiliating. He paused. So yes, I exposed my company, and I'll keep exposing, because hospitality without humanity is just an empty building with expensive beds. The room exploded in applause. Marcus descended from the stage. Journalists shouted questions. Flashes illuminated the hall like fireworks. But Marcus didn't hear anything, because at the bottom of the room he saw something that made everything worth it. A fat boy, perhaps 12 years, held a hand, written poster. Thank you for fighting for us. Marcus waved at him. The boy smiled, and for the first time in weeks, Marcus Chen breathed relieved. That night, Gregory Vanderbilt entered a small roadside hotel in Indiana. The attendant didn't even get his eyes. Name, Vanderbilt. Double room, double bed, $80 to daily. Payment advanced. Vanderbilt delivered the credit card. Refused. Tried another. Refused. Money? The attendant asked, bored. Vanderbilt rolled his pockets. It was $43. It is not enough. Next. He left. The door knocked behind him. Outside, sitting on the hood of the rented car he could barely pay, Gregory Vanderbilt understood something. The world had not changed. He was just on the other side now. And no one calls when you fall. 6 months later, the Grand Meridian Hotel was no longer the same. The walls were still in Italian marble. The chandeliers still shone. But something had changed. Something invisible, essential. In the lobby, a bronze plate replaced the old, generic corporate picture. In it, recorded in gold letters, hospitality starts with humanity. Here, everybody is welcome. Every story matters. Everyone has value. Below, a photo. Marcus Chen squeezing Rosa Delgado's hand on her inauguration day as Director of Operations. Rosa now commanded a team of 200 employees. It implemented new protocols, compulsory quarterly training, anonymous channel of complaints, monthly human resources audit. No complaints have been filed since then. All were investigated. All were resolved. And the employees? For the first time in years, they felt they worked in a safe place. Marcus Chen was in Berlin when he received the call. Mr. Chen? The voice on the other side was trembling. My name is Daniel. I saw your video, and I wanted to thank you. Marcus stopped in the middle of the sidewalk. Thanks for why? Because you gave me courage. Daniel took a deep breath. I've always been fat, my whole life. And last week I was fired from a restaurant because the manager said I didn't look right to serve customers. Marcus closed his eyes. I'm sorry, Daniel. No, don't feel. His voice became firmer. Because after watching your video, I contacted the Dignity background. They connected me with lawyers. We are processing the restaurant, and I got a better job, in a place that values me. Marcus smiled. You deserve it, Daniel. No, you deserve it, Mr. Chen. By showing that we don't have to lower our heads. The connection ended. Marcus stood on Berlin Street, people hurrying around him, and for the first time in months he allowed himself to be proud, not of the empire that built, but of the lives that has changed. Meanwhile, in a tiny apartment in Gary, Indiana, Gregory Vanderbilt woke up at 10 in the morning. Not because I wanted to, because I had no reason to wake up early. He didn't work. No one hired him. His name became synonymous with toxicity in the hospitality industry. Tried to change branch consultancy, sales, event management. Every interview ended the same way. Sorry, Mr. Vanderbilt. We don't think you fit our culture. Ironic. He used to use this same sentence. Now I understood her bitter taste. Vanderbilt spent his days watching TV on a wearing sofa, eating frozen food, avoiding mirrors. He gained 20 pounds, stopped shaving. He stopped calling his daughters because he couldn't stand his disappointment on their voices. His wife asked divorce in the 3rd month. I can't look at you anymore, she said. Not because you lost everything, but because I finally understood who you always went. Vanderbilt was alone, and in the suffocating silence of that cheap apartment, he understood something. It was not Marcus Chen who destroyed him. He did it alone. Each cruel joke, each free humiliation, Each person he trampled because he could. Everything came back, and when you fall alone, no one comes to pick you up. Waited to say, back in Chicago, Marcus Chen organized an event at the Grand Meridian. Not a party, not a convention, a meeting. 300 people attended, victims of discrimination that used the Dignity Fund, employees who denounced abuse, civil rights activists, journalists, influencers. And in the center of the salon, Marcus took the stage. 6 months ago, I was humiliated at this hotel, and I could have been quiet. I could have used my power to silence everything and move on. He looked at the audience. But I didn't build an empire to protect my ego. I built to protect people. Applause. Today, 300 prejudice victims were compensated. 50 discrimination processes have been overcome. 23 hotels changed their internal policies after independent audits. More applause. And it all started because a brave woman named Rosa Delgado had the boldness to record the truth. The camera cut to Pink on stage. She dried the tears. Marcus continued. The world wants people like me. Fat people. Different people. People who don't fit the pattern. Be quiet. They accept miles. They thank they for being tolerated. He paused. But I didn't come here to be tolerated. I came to be respected. And anyone who doesn't understand the difference doesn't. It is in my hotel. The audience exploded in applause. I sighed to him. And that night Marcus returned to the presidential suite. Took the jacket. He loosened the tie. He sat on the porch overlooking Chicago illuminated. Your cell phone vibrated. A message from Patricia Reeves. Nit wants to do a cover story about the Dignity Fund. Forbes wants to interview you to CEO of the Year, and there are 3 universities offering lectures. Marcus smiled, but did not answer. Instead, he opened the drawer of the bedside table, took an old photo. He at the age of 9 holding a math trophy, wide smile, plump cheeks. At the bottom of the photo, other students laughing, pointing. Marcus looked at the photo for a long time. Then he kept back. You beat, boy, he whispered. It was worth it. 3 years later, the Dignity Fund had offices in 12 countries. More than 5,000 victims were compensated. Hundreds of companies reformulated policies. Dozens of anti-discrimination laws have been passed based on evidence collected by the fund. Marcus Chen was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, did not win, but it didn't matter, because in the Grand Meridian Hotel, a new sign was installed at the entrance. In memory of all who were invisible, you always mattered. And below, in smaller letters, founded by Marcus Chen, who turned pain into purpose. Or, as for Gregory Vanderbilt, he never returned to the hospitality. He works as a night manager of a gas station in Indiana, earns minimum wage, live alone. It rarely speaks to the daughters. A few nights, when the post is empty and silent, he thinks of what could have been different, if it had been kind, if you had seen people, not bodies, if I had used power to raise, not destroy. But these reflections always end the same way. Too late. Marcus Chen never thought of Vanderbilt, because revenge was not the goal. Justice was. And true justice is not about destroying enemies. It's about building a world where they can no longer hurt anyone. The moral of the story, prejudice always loses. Not because the world is fair, but because brave people refuse to be quiet. The best revenge is not to humiliate those who humiliate you, is to use your pain to protect others from feeling the same. And when you get up, don't get up alone. You carry everyone who came before, and illuminates the way to everyone who comes later. Dignity has no size, respect has no form, and hospitality without humanity is just an empty building. If this story touched you, you subscribe to the channel, because every week we bring real stories of real people who have turned injustice into inspiration, and you never know when it will be your turn to turn the game.